The food service, hospitality, and retail industries are evolving in ways you've never heard of until now. Hosted by global industry technovator Rob Grimes and powered by the IFBTA, Tech Bites is your go-to podcast, putting technology innovation and trends on the menu.
So welcome to a special edition and a special conversation guest on Tech Bites. It's my favorite time of the year, every May. And I haven't been around as many years as the event we're going to talk about. Not close, but not far enough. But it's a special time, and the National Restaurant Association show is coming up. And Tom Cindric, my guest today, and my conversation, we have lots of conversations, the president of exhibitions for food service for Informa Connect. So welcome to Tech Bites, Tom.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. It's great to be here. And again, as always, like you said, it's an exciting time of the year. I think we're 8 or 9 days from opening day. So everybody's running hectic and busy, but excited for the show and, excited to get the industry together and celebrate as we do annually in Chicago.
So how many years has the show been around?
So the show's over 100 years. It's certainly a legacy event. It's been around forever. It has certainly endured the ups and downs of the economic crises that have happened in the past, and certainly the one that we're currently in right now in terms of some of the challenging times. But it's always been a place that the industry comes together, find solutions and share challenges and overcome, what the things that are happening in the industry. So storied history. And for those that have been to the show, they've seen it grow and evolve and get stronger and bigger and better every year.
Well, there's always new and exciting things there, but I guess we're missing the basics to start with. So it's May 17th through 20th at McCormick Place. Right. But in reality, it's really all of Chicago, isn't it? It's not
Pretty
just
much,
McCormick Place.
There's a lot of activity throughout, and certainly, you all will be there and you're doing events and there's a lot of things happening in the city. The restaurant community in Chicago and the tourism community in Chicago is always strong. Chicago has been a great international destination. So really the city and the industry comes together, and it's just it's always been a great location for the event. And
well, why don't we get a little bit of background on the overall?
Go ahead.
Yeah, let's get a little bit of background on the overall event, because I would like to point out this is a completely international event. So when we talk about the industry has many segments, it has many geographies, there's many subjects and special areas. So how about an overview of the overall?
Yeah, so we're excited. We'll have over 2,200 exhibitors this year, which again starts to be record setting. I think that our largest show was in 2019, and the show has certainly got close to that last year, and will. I think with regards to the number of exhibitors, one of the things that we're really excited about is of those exhibitors, 800 of them are first-time exhibitors, fairly high number of new companies, but that's why we tell people you got to come back every year. We usually get between 700 and 800 new companies, and so a great way, the serendipity of the show to walk around and discover a product or a solution that maybe wasn't around last year. And as you said, from an international perspective, in our Global Food Expo, which highlights international food and other locations around the show, you'll find over 500 exhibitors from about 45 different countries showcasing their products and services and solutions. So very international show, very, very, very much.
Well, I think that everybody measures success of a show and their return on investment of their time and money to attend in different ways, and they engage in many different ways. So what are like the main aspects, around the networking, the education, the sections of the show?
Yeah, so I think that one of the number one reasons that people come to the show is obviously to see the exhibits and discover the products and things that the exhibitors and the suppliers are showcasing. That's number one. The show's unique in that we product categorize a few things like our organic and natural pavilion, the tech pavilion. But really, when you walk throughout the show, you'll see food interspersed with equipment, with tablewares and supplies, and that's what makes the event fun. Is you really get a flavor of what the industry is all about, from front of house to back of house and everything that's happening in the restaurant industry. And so, you certainly can wear yourself out on the show floor. We have an Expo Plus education program. So in addition to the stages that we have, like our beverage area and our learning center and other stages that we have on the show where we have
And the Innovation Theater.
Innovation Theater, thank you. We also take some of the education off the show floor into meeting room, a little more of a classroom setting, a little more in depth, and so folks can do that. We certainly our culinary experience with the celebrated chefs and mixologists is a highlight. People want to come and see Rick Bayless kick it off and see a lot of the up and coming and celebrity chefs, as well as like our keynote session with Carla Hall. So we're very excited to have her, author, TV host, celebrated chef, have a discussion with Michelle Korsmo at the National Restaurant Association, and really talk about her experience from being an accountant to being a celebrity chef on television. So we're excited about that. And then we also, in our Expo Plus education, we have an added keynote. And we have Courtney Storr and Donnie Medeo of One Off Hospitality. Courtney Storr is the executive producer of The Bear. For those of you that have gone on Hulu.
You can visit that site during the show if you want.
What's that?
You can visit the site where they filmed The Bear in Chicago during the show.
We're excited to have that. And so, again, there's a multitude of other things that are happening on the show floor, from our Fabby tastings, we have an emerging brands pavilion, which is really new and emerging products and new products. So again, there's just you need to download the Show to Go app and see all the things and plan your day, because we will certainly.
Well, it's impossible to do in a single day. And I would just point out, before we drill down in some specific areas, that there's a lot of networking. There's a lot of events that surround the show. There are awards that are given. Many industry awards and recognition are given for the different segments, and almost every association that is affiliated with the food service industry, is represented there and hosting something.
Yeah, we're always bringing everybody together. So it's great to see that. Like as I said before, the city of Chicago is busy and the food service.
Well, that's true. So listen, near and dear to my heart, how about a couple of stats on the show and where technology and innovation fit into it?
So as far as technology goes, with regard, we've seen it really grow the last several years coming out of the pandemic with regards to technology and AI and tech and data analysis and usage and how that's being implemented in restaurants. And so our tech pavilion, which we talked a little bit about, has about 167 exhibitors and around 35,000 square feet of exhibit space. And that area really highlights a lot of the tech companies. But in addition to that, outside amongst the other 2,000 exhibitors, there's another 130 exhibitors and another 45,000 square feet. So we've got over 300 companies that are representing some form of tech in the show. And so it's just massive. You've seen in years past robots running around and the articulated fryers, but now even in equipment, you're starting to see how tech's exploded with regards to refrigeration or cooking, and how they're monitoring systems and using visual automation to let cooks know when something's cooked right or done, and it's just incredible.
Well, you know what the challenge is at the show is.
What's that?
Well, the challenge at the show is actually getting to see everything, and you and I are going to have a debate right now about tech. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you that every year I hear about, 300 booths, 400 booths, it was 300. But when I count it the way I count it, I count 1,200 technology booths that are there. Yeah. And why do I say that? Because I understand, for instance, somebody like Cuisine Solutions is going to have a big presence this year. That is cooking technology. Yeah. You go into Middleby or Ecolab, and you're going to see Connected Kitchens, or even Flippy is sitting over there. And, if you go into drink dispensing. So, the definition of tech really is found all over the show. And then if you really want to make a stretch of it and go food tech, now you can start getting in the plant-based foods and things, but I won't count those.
No, I don't disagree. Ecolab is a KI award winner, and they won for their mobile app, which really helps with operational task management and things like that. So again, yes, are they technology focused company? So yeah, I look, I don't disagree. I think tech's all over. You can't operate in the space and do things if you're not using some sort of, whether it's AI or data and analytics or delivery
Well, it's really
solutions.
embedded in everything, isn't it?
It
I mean,
is. It
it's
is.
embedded everywhere. And the IFBTA has a welcome desk, which we greatly appreciate, right next to the Innovation Theater.
Yeah.
And I've taken a look at that program. You've got a lot of programming specifically focused on technology in the Innovation Theater. And the other thing I noticed is we had to move our booth because you opened up space behind us,
We did.
and you've expanded actually the area.
Yeah, so the show continues to grow, and we're using the B2 hall, and we sell out the tech area, and no matter how big we draw it, it always seems to sell out. So we've had to expand it this year, which is a really great and positive thing. But to your point, if you look at, while there's tech specific sessions, it's very similar to what you're saying. In any session that you're in, there's going to be some mention of what's happening with technology and how it's impacting people's businesses, right? So,
well, there's just so much opportunity to explore. But anybody who just goes and spends one, for instance, just in the technology pavilion, is never actually going to see all of the innovation that's out there. Between you've already pointed out, between cooking equipment, and all types of connected devices, plus technology providers, even the point of sale guys and things, are all throughout the halls. They're not just in the tech pavilion.
yeah, well, that's everything from like ordering accuracy and forecasting and knowing how to. It's incredible. I think it was a company. I think it's Pressy Taste that has a vision AI technology. The tool monitors every item on a grill and then cues the grill operators when food's ready to serve. I mean, it's just
Absolutely. Cameras,
unbelievable.
security,
Yeah, it's
all those things for
unbelievable.
food consistency, cooking,
Yeah.
training. You've already said labor. There's just so much, really to see, and new innovation are there. What about, one of the fun things, is the networking that happens around. And I understand there are some pretty big events and things that you do to bring people together, as well as the IFBTA Celebration of Technology. But what are some of the networking things that people can take advantage of?
Well, the opportunity is we have some meetups and some greet ups that happen. Certainly at the culinary experience, there's opportunities. One of the things that we're doing this year that's a little different that we haven't done before is we're doing some show floor tours and guided tours by some of our editors. So Jonathan Mays and Sam Ochis will be conducting some tours. So great opportunities for people to engage and be toured around and have introductions made and have them talk about industry trends that are happening. We also have our industry night out that happens at Time Out Market, which is a great thing. We do a young professionals party as well. So there's a lot of social events that people can participate in, and we're always excited to have people, have a long, exhausting day and then be able to kind of sit back and share what they've found on the show floor or the sessions that they've been in, and have a cocktail or two and just talk about the
So,
show and the things they
clearly,
experience.
clearly, I know quite a bit, about Informa Connect, but you mentioned a couple things that some of our listeners might not actually be aware of. And when you're talking about your editors, you're talking about Nation's Restaurant News and Restaurant Business,
Yeah.
and they're just part of the family because you've got Technomic that participates in sessions that are there, and you have other industry professionals as well within your family from retail and convenience store. And so, you're able to leverage also that part of your business. And by the way, I enjoy every year interviewing the two tech writers from
Right.
the two publications.
Right.
And so it really is a collaborative effort, on Informa's part, where you're able to draw expertise and trends from, some of the places.
Yeah, certainly we collaborate very well in terms of working with Pat Noon and his team at Technomic in terms of the research and data that they, in fact, Informa Connect will have a booth that's next to the right off the Grand Concourse next to the National Restaurant Association booth, and they'll be doing the media and events group, so Nation's Restaurant News and Restaurant Business, along with The other events folks will be doing some podcasts and some sessions, as well as Pat and his team will be talking about some of their data and research that they've been doing. So, we collaborate a lot. We work together. RLC, the Restaurant Leadership Conference, was just last month. Lots of good buzz we heard there about people being excited for the show. And that just kind of leads us into some of our other events that will happen later in the fall.
If you could just take a moment, a lot of times people focus on a big event like this as, 3-4 full days, maybe they have meetings around it, and then that's it. But that really isn't it, because what I learned about you in the last 6 months is that you, on top of everything else that's going on, you have other events that you're working with in the industry as well.
Yeah, so I have another group, catering and events team, that we run Cater Source and the special event. And we also run a group of individuals, LCA, which is the Leading Caterers of America. And in fact, we see a lot of catering opportunity in the restaurant industry. A lot of restaurants have looked at other alternatives in terms of generating revenue, and especially during the pandemic. And so, in fact, this year, my catering and events team helped to put a catering workshop together that will be happening during the show, and I think we've almost sold it out. So there's a lot of opportunity in terms of what's happening in the food overall, in the food space, food and hospitality space, and we try to leverage as much as we can to help help that opportunity and identify opportunities for our customers, for operators, and for suppliers as well.
Well, I think that is the point, that there's really something for everyone, and the food service, restaurant, hospitality community is such a large one. So let me ask you this. You've been doing this for a while. You've been in the events business for a while. I know this has got to be like the greatest thrill of your life doing this one, but is there something that you look forward to every year at this show personally, that you're just like, I got to see what they're doing, or I really want to go, besides meeting up with me, is there something that you really look forward to every year personally?
Yeah, I mean, I like to walk the show floor as much as I can. One year I discovered Orbit donuts, were these little tiny donuts that were amazing. We've got, I always enjoy seeing Mark Schulman at Eli's Cheesecake. He's a big fan.
There you go.
But again, it's just, it's really, you can be surprised all the time. And even with customers that you've known for 35 years, I know that some of our largest customers are always looking to be creative and inventive and have new booths. So it's always exciting to see what's going. And we've got in our grand concourse, we have a new activation that we're going to be showcasing, which is a plate drop activation, where attendees will be able to sort of, if you think of The Price is Right and Plinko,
right,
where they'll be able to do that. So excited to see how that goes off and just create that buzz and excitement around the show floor. So, it's not easy to be, I always talk about every event needs a panda, that must attend thing that you go and see. If you go to DC and you go to the National Zoo, if you come home and you haven't seen the pandas,
panda?
People are going to be.
Well, what is the panda?
What is the panda?
Yeah,
I think the thing is, the panda is I used to talk about that there's one panda, but when you have a show as large as the National Restaurant Association show, I think you have to have several. So it's, what's the thing that you're going to come home with, that you're going to tell everybody about? And so hopefully we've created many of those opportunities. Some of them will be the responsible of our exhibitors and what they do. Some of it's on our content and programming and education and our speakers. And so we hope that everybody, when they come to the show, they go home with their panda moment. That's what we do.
I think people come with a message or they come with an agenda, what they want to see. And what you're saying is they should go home with a panda.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I got that one. Well, listen, it's May 17th to 20th at McCormick Place, which is huge,
yes,
out there. And I assume a person can still register. They can register on site.
Yeah,
and,
I would advise everyone to register. And then certainly, you can register all the way up and every day during the show.
Right. And I mean, and you have lots of buses and transportation between the hotels. It's easy to get there and actually beat the traffic, because they go underground and around. And it's just a great experience. So I'm looking forward to it as I do every year, but it's tough to walk that whole show.
It is. Yeah,
And it is tough
bring a couple
to do
pairs
that.
of shoes, be ready to hustle around and enjoy the food and experience a great time. And
Well, an idea for one year is okay. So we don't have to tell anybody about this idea, but here's an idea. It won't happen this year, but next year, why don't we find a sponsor for those little plastic step counters that people can get, and when they register, instead of like this old traditional way that they used to give out a passport and you had to get them stamped at the sponsor booths, right? Why don't we have a step counter and they get them when they get there and they turn them in when they leave and see who gets the most steps, which will show that they walked most of the show.
yeah, we could do that for sure.
There you go. Anyway, listen, Tom, it's been a pleasure having the conversation. I look forward to having this conversation continue during setup and during the show running into you. And you're going to have to text me when you find your panda. I will text you when I find mine, although I do appreciate greatly that you put both Nathan's hot dogs and Vienna beef on my side of the building, because that's where I go. And if you go early, you don't have to wait in line. So anyway, but
as always, Rob, it's a
it.
pleasure. And we appreciate your constant support and IFBTA.
It's a great event.
Thank you so much.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us. And I hope anybody who attends the show will look up the IFBTA and participate in some of our events, but certainly any information and things on innovation, technology, you'll find us there. And anything else, you got to look up Tom and say hello to him when you're walking through. And it sounds like he's going to be everywhere. And Tom, I'll see you at the show, and I'll see everybody else at the show as well.
Sounds good. See everybody as well. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you. This podcast is brought to you by the International Food and Beverage Technology Association. The IFBTA is the industry's voice of food service, hospitality, and retail technology, providing thought leadership as your single, impartial, and go-to resource. The IFBTA offers in-person and online communities to connect with your peers, the exchange, an all-encompassing global technology resource, and an industry-wide professional education and certification program. The bottom line is the IFBTA is your place to gather, learn, and share in conversations like the one we're having today. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Tech Bites, powered by the IFBTA. I'm Rob Grimes, your host, and I look forward to taking our next bite of technology together.